Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Zechariah chapter 2, verse 6 through 9. Oh, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahweh. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith Yahweh. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory has he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For, behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and you shall know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, this is my Exodus.
O Yahweh, Elohim, Almighty El, Eternal Father, please save us from ourselves, trapped by routines of our past behavior. Wounded, we desperately need a Savior. Victimized and tried by our own inner lies, jumping back and forth across the great divide. Spirituality broken up into small fractions, reducing our power down to total inaction. 'Cause faith without works are truly dead. A reality we have trouble getting through our heads. Called out of the world, wholly separate from them. Called into the fold where true testing begins. Let us never assume we are just before you. Deliver us, Yah, make your children brand new.
We need you. Deliver me, 'cause all I seem to do is hurt me. Hurt me. Deliver me. All I seem to do is hurt me. Hurt me. Yeah. Deliver.
If my people Israel humble themselves and pray, I'll hear from heaven if they seek my face. If they repent, turn from their wicked ways, and I'll forgive their sin, and I'll heal their land.
This is my Exodus. This is my Exodus. This is my Exodus. This is my Exodus.
Oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
The Proverbs of Shlomo, the son of Dawid, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning. A man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise, and their dark sayings. The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and forsake not the law of your mother. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto your head, and chains about thy neck. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us in this body of Yahshua. There are several key points that we need to get out of this. One of these, my son, hear the instruction of your father, and forsake not the law of your mother. When we deal with our father, of course, that is Yahweh. Our mother is the church that then directs us. But the church has to direct in the way that the father has observed. So you have a schism in the body when you have the father and mother competing for who's going to get the kids' attention. And we have to make sure that we are not doing that on an earthly part or on a spiritual part. Yahweh is directing things. This is why you'll go through this book and sometimes angels wouldn't tell you their name. Because they don't want you to turn around and give more honor unto them than the Father who gave them the instruction. But that's not what we have on an earthly basis. People will still receive instruction from the Father, but give it like it came from them. Because they still want to have those accolades. So now you have a competition in the body, which is a schism in the body. So then we're not walking as one. And these are things the adversary, the devil, loves to see, because he's going to pounce on that. He going to see that little opening. He going to see, oh, okay, this is how y'all doing it? Oh, yeah, I'll be in there. That's all he needs to have, is that little opening. And the adversaries of our Father are constantly putting out little things to give us just a little bit less self-esteem about who we are. I have heard the term diversity, equity, and inclusion in the last 30 days more than I've ever heard it in my life. But it's going to be pretty interesting when Yahweh shows who his true people are. People say that they don't want any part of diversity, equity, and inclusion. When they find out who the true children of Israel, they might change and they might want that DEI program when they realize that they are the one that has to be included. So let's go prove that. Let it not be said from the mouth of that man. Let it be said from the depth of this book. Let's begin today's sermon in Ezekiel chapter 16. See, it's real easy to talk about the negativity of a program that you don't think you need. It's interesting when you find that you are a different party than what you thought you were. Now you want to try and get that program back. But this is also how Yahweh judges the hearts of men. This is why Dawid was presented with a situation that didn't have any names. It didn't have any particular information about who the person was. It just said, it didn't even mention the real event that had taken place. He said this man had took this thing from this man and he used a lamb. Dawid automatically uttered straightforward righteous judgment. Later on, Dawid found out that he was the man he was talking about. So he had then pronounced death and restitution upon himself. So Yahweh has a way of turning the tables a little bit so everybody does not see exactly where they stand in the scenario. So then they speak against the scenario, not knowing that they spoke against the spot where they were standing. You want to play with something, I'm trying to tell you, my God, ain't it? You need to find you something else to play with, because you just swear you right, speaking against it, and then he go ahead and twist it back and show you, yeah, you standing on spot number 2. You remember all that stuff you just said about spot number 2? Now you still want me to destroy it? No, you just spoke real strong about destroying it, right? That's your spot. You want me to destroy it? No, sir. No, hold on now. Hold on. You had no mercy. You had no anything about anybody who stood in that spot. Now I just showed you that that's you. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
Again, the word of Yahweh came on to me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abomination.
All right. Anytime you are in this predicament, this is what the job that Yahweh has given you. Cause Jerusalem to know her abominations. Do understand at this point, she is not your friend. She not going to like you. And you're about to say some things that are about to upset her. Now, at this point, we have to make a decision. who are we attempting to please? Are we going to please Yahweh, our Elohim? Or we're going to try to please the one whom we have to cause her to know her abominations? Because you're about to get some frowns at this point when you attempt to cause her to know her abominations, because we don't like anything that we have done in the dark to be brought to the light. We don't like anything that we have done incorrectly to be brought to the light. So understand, a schism is right here in verse 2, cause her to know. Because see, Yahweh doesn't like doing things and you don't understand why you're getting the punishment. See, your mama always whooped you. It was a speech that went with the whooping. It was a talk. So you need to understand why you getting this here. So then there's conversation before the whooping, and there's conversation during the whooping. There's very little talk after the whooping. Everything done been said that needed to be said. But cause her to know her abominations. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And say, thus says the Adonai unto Jerusalem, your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother an Hittite. And as for your nativity, in the day you was born, your navel was not cut, neither was you washed in water to supple you. You was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. None I pitied you, to do any of these unto you, to have compassion upon you. But you was cast out into the open field, to the loathing of your person, in the day that you was born.
So Yahweh is letting Israel know that wait a minute, you've gotten status, you've gotten to a certain point where you believe you are this, that, and the third. But hold on, let me take you back to the beginning. You done forgot where we met. You forgot where you were standing when I picked you up. So let's have, and we don't like, we'll say, look, don't be bringing up the past. But Yahweh said, let's bring up the past. Now I want to talk about what you was when I met you. Because I've given you fine things that you love, but you have forgotten where those things came from. Go ahead.
And when I passed by you, and saw you polluted in your own blood, I said unto you, when you was in your own blood.
When you was in your own blood. Don't get it twisted. You didn't clean yourself, and then I saw you. Go ahead.
Live. Yes, I said unto you when you was in your own blood, live.
I said unto you when you was in your own blood. See, sometimes we forget, we romanticize the past. We don't want to call the evil things in the rearview mirror evil.
It wasn't that bad, really, per se.
That's when you know you trying to level up. When you start using words like per se. What is this, a contract? Where the hell per se come from? Oh. Yeah, you trying to lessen what it was. Yahweh ain't with that. No. Let's tell the truth and shame the devil. This is what you was when I found you. Go ahead.
I have caused you to multiply as the bud of the field, and you have increased and waxen great, and you are come to excellent ornaments.
You have come to excellent ornaments. He said, all them chains, them bracelets, them earrings. I still got the receipt for those. I know where you got those. I bought that. Go ahead.
Your breasts are fashioned, and your hair is grown, whereas you was naked and bare.
Uh-huh.
Now when I passed by you and looked upon you, behold, your time was the time of love, and I spread my skirt over you and covered your nakedness. Yes, I swear unto you and entered into a covenant with you, says the Adonai, and you became mine.
I swear unto you, entered into a covenant with you, and you became mine. Go ahead.
That was it, verse 8.
All right. Read verse 9.
Okay. Then washed I you with water.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I thoroughly washed away your blood from you, and I anointed you with oil.
Then washed I you with water. I thoroughly washed away your blood from you, and I anointed you with oil. That was after we became his. Now, there's a part where we're going to go back to verse 3. Thus says the Adonai Elohim unto Jerusalem, your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite and your mother was an Hittite. And as for your nativity, in the day that you was born, your navel was not cut. We're going to have to go into that specifically, but we're going to get a few things and then we're going to come back. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 20. Everybody say they don't like diversity, equity, and inclusion, but when it comes down to diversity, equity, and biblical inclusion, they're gonna want some of it. They're gonna go to Yahweh. Can you reinstitute that program? Deuteronomy chapter 20, and let's start this at verse 1.
When you goeth out to battle against your enemies, and seeth horses and chariots, and a people more than you, be not afraid of them, for Yahweh your Elohim is with you, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt.
And let's tell the truth and shame the devil. The people in the land have never had that problem. They have never been in a situation where they've had to go against anything greater than them. Everybody that they have gone against have been de-armed. They have sticks and rocks and homemade weapons. They have weapons made out of Clorox and bleach. While they, on the other hand, have the most expensive weaponry around. If you're just not reading this book, let me explain to you how my Elohim works. He don't like the part where it already looked like you're gonna win. Let me tell you how he works. You won't be the one with the most weapons when you fighting for him. You have to understand how he works. How does he get glory? If you got drones, you got eyes in the sky, you got a dome that keeps something going. How does he get any glory? He does not get any glory from that. But when you walk in with some sticks and some rocks, and everybody else got missiles, and somehow you still prevail, now they got to ask the question, hey, who Junebug now? We shot you. I swear I hit him 5 times. What is happening? Oh, now they got to ask the question, well, wait a minute. Y'all, them might be the people. They said, no, they can't be them. So they're going to have to be convinced over and over when Yahweh puts his spirit upon the children of Israel that no matter what other nations possess, they ain't going to win. So the nations are pre-fighting right now. How you pre-fight? Watch the pre-fight. A lot of y'all like to come in when the main event come on. No. Watch the pre-fight and you'll find out what they're doing. You get into the opponent's head before the fight starts and make him or her think that they have already lost. Why do you think you're being shown the things that you're being shown? So you'll think you have already lost. And the battle ain't even started. That's the pre-fight. Go ahead, priest.
And it shall be, when you're come near unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, you approach this day unto the battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be you terrified because of them.
Now, this is before the battle. So if you have to do these things before the battle, then understand what your enemy must do before the battle. That is a serious act of warfare to instill fear. And the flow of information is what does that. You'll never hear about their defeats, only their triumphs. That's to make you think that all they do is win. You think if they woke up, they won. Go ahead.
For Yahweh your Elohim is he that goes with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that has built a new house, and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it. And what man is he that has planted a vineyard, and has not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that has betrothed a wife, and has not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint, as well as his heart.
So that fear that he has will spread unto his brothers. Now, this is where the battle between father and mother goes. So Yahweh tells Israel, we're going to go over there and we're going to take this land. So the father has given instruction. Now here's the congregation. The mother. Let's go over there and let's examine it. You see the difference in how the father and the mother act. The mother said, we need to get all the information about the land before we go. The father said, go on up there and go get it. The mother said, let's do some reconnaissance. What we need to do is some research. All right? So the mother says, let's go do some research. The children go to do the research and come back afraid, which was the first step of fear when they decided, instead of going, we're going to go and do the research first. He said, look, go on up and take it. See, the less you know about who they are, the better this going to be. All right, now go up at once. But the mother's more sensible. See, she's a processor. All right, she's a processor of information. And she said, this will be more intelligent. So she institutes her intelligence into the situation. Let's go get some info. All right, we're going to research. Now, that research doesn't scare the absolute hell out of them. Now you have a divide between the father and the mother. Because now the children's scared to go. That information didn't turn out to be so good. Go ahead.
And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When you cometh near unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make you answer peace and open unto you, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto you, and they shall serve you. And if it will make no peace with you, but will make war against you, then you shall besiege it. Mm-hmm. And when Yahweh your
So he gonna let you know by how it come at you, how you supposed to go at it. But we're sitting around waiting for some cloud to float down and say, fight this way. You gonna know which way to fight when you get hit in your mouth. Go ahead.
And when Yahweh your Elohim has delivered it into your hands, you shall smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the women, and the little ones, and the cattle, and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shall you take unto yourself. And you shall eat the spoil of your enemies, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you. Thus shall you do unto all the cities which are very far off from you, which are not of the cities of these nations.
Now, understand the difference. You shall do this to the cities that are far off. So, when the Gibeonites said that we be from a far off place, what do you think they were doing? The people who are attempting to deceive you study your book more than you. You think they just came in with the old sacks and the old clothes? They said, we build people very far. Wait a minute, them people done their homework. Them people done heard from a bird that heard from a bird that heard from a bird. These people have some understanding. We be very far off. They right around the corner. He said, you do this unto the people that's far off. But hey, but the ones that's right by here, utterly destroy them. How did they get this info? Their deception was right in the boundary of the word. Go ahead.
Thus shall you do unto all the cities which are very far off from you, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these people, which Yahweh your Elohim does give you for an inheritance. You shall save alive nothing that breathes.
Wait a minute. So if anything close, it's got all that got to go. See? Because if it's close, it's going to be more of a problem unto you. No. All that got to go. Go ahead.
But you shall utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you.
Now remember, in the beginning it says your nativity is of the land of Canaan. You know, it's talking about between your mother and your father. It said Amorites. Wait a minute. We're starting to hear these names again. So we're going to have to break down who these individuals are. See, it's hard to explain the equation of diversity, equity, and inclusion if you don't know who all the parts are. See, if E equals MC squared, we got to find out M and C. Or else we can't square it. All right, go ahead.
That they teach you not to do after all their abominations, which they have done unto their gods. So should you sin against Yahweh, your Elohim.
All right, so now let's go to Genesis chapter 10, because we got to figure out, Yahweh is telling Israel, you know, who your mom and your dad is. He's saying spiritually where this land comes from, but there are some clues in that, in who Israel is truly. So Genesis chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Now, everybody who claims to be biblical readers accept this. Even the people who don't accept the Bible accept this. Okay, keep going.
And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Midiai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah.
Now, this is why the people, especially the powers that be, they do not want us to read the Torah. And they themselves cannot read the Torah. They need to read other books, because if you keep reading something that says you are not what you're saying you are, it is going to give you low self-esteem. But they're not trying to get low self-esteem. They're trying to give it. So if you keep reading that Ashkenaz is a Gentile, but you are proclaiming yourself as an Ashkenazi Jew, this is going to be a problem. You can't keep reading this over and over. If you are saying I'm this, and you keep getting into your family book, and it said, no, you that. Now, you're going to eventually have a schism in your own mind and heart. So to keep from having that schism, other books were created. Read out of this. Don't read out of this. Now, tell everybody that you are about this, but don't read this. Wait a minute. So the thing that you about, don't read, because it does not say that you are who you say you are. But read the other stuff that says a conflicting view. Why would anybody do that? And we're not talking about uneducated people. We're talking about very educated people. Why would an educated individual do that? Okay, go ahead.
And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles. Now you're going to watch other videos where people are going to proclaim that you are a Gentile, and they need for you to accept that you are a Gentile. Well, wait a minute. I just read where these come from, and if you want to get into Ashkenaz, Javan, wait a minute. We talking about Greece. We talking about Spain. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You trying to tell me I'm the same as them? Now, if I'm the same as them, why do we need diversity, equity, and inclusion at all? If I'm a Gentile just like you, then I should have been included with you. Oh, okay. But I tell you, a lie won't hold water. See, what you got to do is you got to pour water on the lie. And when the water seep through it, you be like, that lie ain't solid. That lie ain't solid. See, you got to make them tell the lie long enough. If we the same, then you're right. We don't need any of this. Keep reading.
By these are the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his language, after their families, in their nations.
All right, now he already talked about the Gentiles. Now he's about to talk about something else. Because if all of them were Gentiles, then why he didn't say all of them and then say that part at the end? Now he's going to go into the next son. Go ahead.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Raamah, and Sabteca. And the sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod the mighty hunter before Yahweh. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
All right, stop. You have to look at the irony of what happened. So the beginning of Ham's family's kingdom is Babel. We are still struggling with Babylon. But understand, Babel did not begin with the Gentiles. Go ahead, finish that.
And Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar.
All right, so then we got to go back up to verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. All right, now, I want you to go into that, but I want to go so that we have some context here. Go to the next graphic, because I want you to start reading the definitions for these names. Now, I'm going to go back to Ezekiel 16, and I want to read something. It says, your birth and your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother was an Hittite. Okay. All right. Now remember that right there. Your nativity is of the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother was a Hittite. All right. So let's go. Start with the definition, Ham.
From H2526, and Ham equals hot. Second son of Noah, father of Canaan, and of various peoples which were inhabitants of southern lands. In late usage, a collective name for Egyptians.
All right, stop. Collective name for Egyptians. Okay, interesting. So the Egyptians are Hamites. All right, go to the next one.
Cush, from H3568, Cush equals black.
Wait a minute. Now we talking about another son of Ham. So if a Ham is hot, he burnt black. Cush just regular black. So he ain't as black as his daddy, but he black. See, so his daddy blacker than black. He just black. Okay. All right. Now we starting to get something. Now Yahweh says that your land and your nativity. Okay. So keep going, because first of all, now we have this whole thing of Egyptian. I need you to get that in your head. The Ham is where the Egyptians come from, but we're gonna keep going. Go ahead.
The son of Ham and grandson of Noah, and the progenitor of the southernmost peoples located in Africa. The peoples descended from Cush, the land occupied by the descendants of Cush located around the southern parts of the Nile, Ethiopia.
So, because we can clearly connect the dot between Cush and Ethiopia. It is something that cannot be denied. Now, the funny part is, even today, the only thing that they will include in their diversity and equity and inclusion when it comes to biblical things, they will only deal with Ethiopian Jews. But those Jews have to convert to their Judaism before they are accepted. And to this day, the derogatory term in Israel for a black person is Cushi. That means you're black. Interesting. Go to the next one.
Mizraim.
All right, so remember now we're going through the sons. We got Ham is the father. We got Cush, which is Ethiopia. Then you got Mizraim. All right, so let's read about Mizraim.
Egyptians equal double straits, a country at the northeastern section of Africa, adjacent to Palestine.
Wait a minute. So Palestine in Africa? Oh, we thought that was the Middle East, huh? Wait a minute. So people that study this book know that all of this is taking place in Africa. But we have been told something else. We have been told that this is Middle East. Ain't no such thing as Middle East. What a Middle West? What about the Middle South? You ever been to the Middle North? Okay, but somehow we have a Middle East. And nobody asked this question to these educated people now. How is it that all these educated people, nobody ever asked what a Middle South, Middle North, or Middle West was? But we listen to everybody tell us about a Middle East. It does not exist. It is a figment of somebody's imagination, so they cannot say that they are talking about Africa. Go ahead.
And through which the Nile flows. Dual of H4693, Mizraim, that is, Upper and Lower Egypt.
All right, so if we're dealing with Egypt, they are also the brother of Cush, who is the son of Ham. Then now it's starting to make sense. So the Egyptians black too. Okay. Now we're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Let's read about another brother. They had another brother, right? Mm-hmm. All right, who's the other brother? Let's go to him.
From H6316, a nation and people of northern Africa, probably Libyans.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go to the next graphic.
Canaan from H3667. From Brown Driver Briggs' definition, Canaan equals lowland, the fourth son of Ham and the progenitor of the Phoenicians and of various nations who peopled the seacoast of Palestine.
So they want to tell us that no black people were ever in this part of the land, but all of their books say otherwise. Go ahead.
The land west of Jordan, peopled by the descendants of Canaan and subsequently conquered by the Israelites under Yahshua.
All right. So now let's go to Exodus chapter 2. Because if you're going to deal with E equals MC squared, you gotta find M and C. All right. So when we deal with this, then we now have the setup of what the Egyptians look like. So the Ethiopians were part of the Egyptians. They were brothers. This is their family rulership. Understand that. So when you go into certain parts and he starts saying the Ethiopians are going to do this, they're going to be under the children of Israel, why do you think he's saying that? Because those were part of the Egyptians that ruled over you. We think Yahweh just be saying some stuff just to be saying it. No. He know exactly. People can go and try to change who they think they are, or they can go and change to another name. He know exactly who they are. You can stand right there and hide behind that tree all you want. But when it comes time to deal with you, I'm going to move that tree. Go ahead.
You know, Elder, it's like Yahweh said all these pieces knowing what's going to happen, because what he said point blank, can a leopard change his spots?
Right.
Can the Egyptian change his skin? I mean,
Right.
the Ethiopian
Change his skin?
Because he knew that at some point y'all going to try to mix and mingle and,
Right.
and change these words up, but these people's skin color ain't never going to change.
And y'all can play them mixing games all you want. He said, when it comes time for judgment, everything that's in the earth, he going to bring it out the earth. If it died in the water, he going to bring it out the water. All right? So you can mix yourself all up you want to. He going to bring all them pieces up so he can whoop it. Exodus chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when
Now, I need for you not to go past this first verse. There went a man out of the house of Levi. So he is a Levitical member. All right? Go ahead.
And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him, that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months.
Right, because they're trying to kill. At this point, Israel done got too strong. They need to kill all the male seeds. But now we have this one seed of the house of Levi. Go ahead.
And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off, to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river.
All right, so the daughter of Pharaoh, it's fair to say this is the black woman. She's the daughter of Pharaoh. Pharaoh's an Egyptian. The brother is Cush, black, and the daddy is burnt black. All right, so we have this black daughter of Pharaoh coming down to the river to wash herself. Go ahead.
And her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children.
Now, she automatically know. She didn't say they one of them Gentiles. She said they one of the Hebrews' children. Now, they ruling over the Hebrews, so they very much so know what they look like. If you put an Ethiopian beside me, they going to say, yeah, both of them black, but one of them Ethiopian. Okay. Go ahead.
Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to you a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I'll give you your wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son.
So, the black daughter of Pharaoh has taken on a child of the Hebrews. The child is going to be raised as one of the Egyptians, one of the burnt black people. All right, keep going.
And she called his name Moshe.
So Moses, who is of the tribe of Levi, is being raised by the daughter of burnt black. Okay, keep reading.
And she said, because I drew him out of the water. And it came to pass in those days, when Moshe was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren.
All right, so he automatically sees this altercation. He knows the difference between his people and their people. Jump to verse 16.
Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters.
Because after he does this deed and try to protect his brothers, he has to then run away because of the deed of killing this man. Now he's forced out. Go ahead.
And they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moshe stood up and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, how is it that you're come so soon today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds.
Stop. Moshe of the tribe of Levi is confused for an Egyptian whose brother is an Ethiopian and the father is Ham burnt black. Moshe is confused for being an Egyptian. They're going to be real interested to find out who need to be included. They're going to find out, you can cancel all your DEI. I'm not the one that need it. Go ahead.
And also drew water enough for us and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, and where is he? Why is it that you have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. And Moshe was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moshe Zipporah his daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I've been a stranger in a strange land.
All right. So one of the things that's interesting, so we draw these lines between Moshe being a Levite, him being confused for an Egyptian. You back up where the Egyptians come from. They are African, very dark skinned. Moshe is confused for one of them. Go to the next graphic. The Jewish rabbis who read out of the Talmud says that the color of black skin makes Hebrew Israelites ineligible for the priesthood. Okay, all right. So let me slow this down for you. So Moshe, Yahweh didn't even say that Moshe was a priest. He says, no. You're going to be like a god, and Aaron shall be your prophet. Understand where we're coming from. So the beginning of the priesthood, Levi, is confused for a burnt black Hamite, yet we are being told by somebody who reads some other books, because they won't read this one, that your skin makes you ineligible for the priesthood. But your skin is how the priesthood started. Your skin is the foundation of the priesthood. Okay. But wait, there's more. Let's go to Genesis chapter 42. But you ain't supposed to know that. You're supposed to be somewhere shouting and doing praise dances. See? Because if you're shouting and you're singing a song, or even if you're Hebrew and you're doing that damn, what that damn thing they do all day? Shema. The damn Shema. You Shemaing for 2.5 hours. You ain't reading that neither. Or trying to learn Hebrew root words. You ain't dealing with the core of this understanding, so you still don't know it. That's where everybody wants you to be at. Hey, man, the choir did an absolutely amazingly beautiful song. But damn it, we're not finna do that for 2 hours. You understand what I'm saying to you? We're not finna do that for 2 hours. Y'all gonna get up here, you're gonna do your song, and you're gonna get up out of here. You understand how? You're gonna get up out of here. Because we got work to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Genesis chapter 42. Let's start at verse 1.
Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, why do you look one upon another? And he said, behold, I've heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mistake befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
All the things that they got angry at him when he had the dream, and the dream said, the 11 sheaves bowed down to my sheaf. They got upset. You the little brother. Don't nobody bow down to the little brother. You gonna get hurt. Now they have done that where he said they were going to do a long time ago. Go ahead.
And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come you? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food.
So they are coming from the land of Canaan. Yahweh says, your nativity is of the land of Canaan, which comes from burnt black. Then he mentions the Amorite and the Hittite as your father and your mother. Okay, so they are coming from the land of Canaan, and they're going to another family member of burnt black to get some corn. Okay, go ahead.
And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them.
There you go.
And said unto them, You are spies. To see the nakedness of the land you are come. And they said unto him, No, my master, but to buy food are your servants come.
Now, they don't know that this is the brother that they sold. Because, see, let me tell you something. When you do something when somebody young, they hadn't developed into the man yet. So what they got rid of was a skinny little stripling of a boy. And he didn't have no muscles. Understand? Now his daddy kept him in the house. He didn't go out like that. He didn't move the way they move, so he didn't have no physical build. But understand, now he done did time in Sing Sing. All right? So he done did his little time in Sing Sing now. You understand? He done got his swole on. So they don't recognize when they see the pecs go pop, 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 pop. They don't know that's the little brother. Little brother swole now. He done did some time, and he got some power. Okay. They don't recognize this man in front of them. Because what they dropped off was a little stripling of a little boy. They don't know what this is. Go ahead.
We're all one man's son. We're true men. Your servants are no spies. And he said unto them, No, but to see the nakedness of the land you're come. And they said, Your servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And, behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not.
They talking to the one who they think is not, and saying one is not. You see how Yahweh will blind you? He had you standing right in front of something, and you won't know what it is.
Come on, preach.
He'll take off those blinders when he ready to take off your blinders. And you swear you see everything. Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, You are spies. Hereby you shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and you shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies.
I mean, y'all had him thrown in prison. I mean, fair is fair. I mean, you should at least see a cell. Go ahead.
And he put them all together into ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the third day, This do, and live, for I fear Elohim. If you be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go you, carry corn for the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and you shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, We're very guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and you would not hear? Therefore, behold, also his blood is required.
All right, now they're having this conversation, but they're having this conversation in front of what they think is an Egyptian. Go ahead.
And they knew not that Joseph understood them.
Right. Go ahead.
For he spake unto them by an interpreter.
Joseph is so smart, he using an interpreter even though he know what they saying. So they think that they can speak Hebrew in front of the Egyptian, and the Egyptian not understand what's going on. Okay, go ahead.
And he turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again, and communed with them, and took from them Simeon, and bound him before their eyes.
All right. Now, one of the things is, we want to understand everything. Him having the understanding of what they said hit him in his heart so bad he had to turn around and go cry. Listen to them argue about what they did to him. This is how he knows it's a schism. So by the time he says, don't be angry with yourselves, he's saying that because he heard them argue. Reuben is saying, I told y'all not to do this. He knows the schism because they're talking in front of him, not thinking that he understands. So wait a minute. What's that? They think that he's so much of an authentic Egyptian that they can freely speak Hebrew in front of the Egyptian and him not understand. But wait a minute. So then Joseph, one of the 12 tribes, looks just like Canaan, Cush, and burnt black ham. And I know y'all think something different when you hear burnt black ham. I know what y'all used to eat. I know what y'all used to eat before you got in this word. That ain't the burnt black ham that we talking about. All right? So get it right. Go ahead, Brent.
Elder, you got to think of even the wiseness of him to pull and interpret it. And I'm sure this interpreter is sitting there looking like, but you a Hebrew.
Hey, shut up, do your job. Shut up, do your job. But I know you understand. Say something else, I'm going to hit you in your mouth. Just interpret. All right, do your job. Go ahead.
That was it.
All right, go to chapter 45. Genesis chapter 45, and we're going to read verses 1 through 11.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
Yeah, they troubled because they now see a man. Okay? This ain't that little boy who y'all dropped in the hole. This ain't that. This a man with a chain and a signet. This a man with some power physically and spiritually. Now they troubled. Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourself.
The only reason he know this because he heard the conversations. He heard them arguing. Go ahead.
That you sold me hither. For Elohim did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years has the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in the which there shall neither be airing nor harvest. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth.
Elohim sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, but he made you mistreat me so I could get over there. But he still got to tell his brothers that he's not an Egyptian. So he has to tell the tribes of Israel that he is not one of the sons of burnt black. Now that's quite interesting. So now we got Moshe from the Levitical priesthood. Now we have Joseph, the image of the Messiah. Oh, this is starting to get interesting. Go ahead.
And to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but Elohim. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, and master of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste you, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus says your son Joseph, Elohim has made me master of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. And you shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near unto me, you and your children, and your children's children, and your flocks, and your herds, and all that you have. And there will I nourish you.
And there will I nourish you, because I have the power in this place. You're going to eat. You need to stay by me. Go ahead.
For yet there are 5 years of famine, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty.
All right. He says, going up, now it was not you that sent me here, but Elohim. There are some times that Yahweh has desires, or he has preset some things in our lives, and we go about being angry at the vehicle that Yahweh used to get us there. So somebody might have done something to you to get you to a place that Elohim needed you to be. And then we spend all of our energy being angry at that individual. And that individual was only the vessel to get you to where he wanted you to be. You don't get mad on the bus and get on the bus and say, I damn the 34 Gresham. I curse it. I curse it all the way down Flat Shoals. No, you don't do that. It's only the vehicle to get you to the place. But we get caught up in the things that we see, and we don't consider the spiritual things that are happening in the background that has to happen to get you to that place. This enormously wonderful gift that Yosef has, it is never going to get to the place where it can save his family. Because the daddy gonna hold it close. Because he know he's different. And quite frankly, he don't know if the boy can handle himself. He don't be out there with them other boys. He like, look, first of all, you pretty. You know what I'm saying? You pretty little boy. You know what I'm saying? My other sons, they rough. You being here in the tent with your mama. You ain't about that life. So Yahweh said, I hear you. I hear you, Yaakov. This boy not like that. Give him to me for a minute. I got a prison workout plan. I got a prison workout plan. He about to be that man. I know you looking at him saying, he pretty, he a little weak boy. Give him to me. I got him on scholarship. So I'm going to take your little stripling, but I'm going to give you back a man. So much of a man that none of his brothers recognize who this is. Okay? We don't want to go through the thing, but we want the power when we come out the thing. Come on now. No, that ain't how this works. Let's go to Acts chapter 21. So you have to deal with yourself off in this book. Getting ready for some kids to go to college. I'm having separation anxiety. I got to talk to myself from the depths of the scripture.
Lord, come down here now.
All right, Acts chapter 21. Let's start at verse 27.
And when the 7 days were almost ended, the Yehudis which were of Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the people and laid hands on him, crying out, Men of Israel, help! This is the man that teaches all men everywhere against the people, and the law, and this place, and further brought Greeks also into the temple, and has polluted this holy place.
Wait a minute. So right there, there's not a lot of diversity and equity in the word. So you just can't be bringing these Gentiles up in here. Now, we read who were Gentiles. It's very interesting because now everything that we see are Gentiles according to what we read in the beginning. But here, Gentiles were not allowed. Interesting. So when we start talking about the diversity and equity, I think people are going to be surprised as who's actually going to need that program. Go ahead.
For they had seen before with him in the city Trophimus, an Ephesian, whom they supposed that Saul had brought into the temple. And all the city was moved, and the people ran together. And they took Saul, and drew him out of the temple, and forthwith the doors were shut. And as they went about to kill him, tidings came unto the chief captain of the band, that all Jerusalem was in an uproar, who immediately took soldiers and centurions, and ran down unto them. And when they saw the chief captain and the soldiers, they left beating of Saul. Then the chief captain came near, and took him, and commanded him to be bound with 2 chains, and demanded who he was, and what he had done. And some cried one thing, some another, among the multitude. And when he could not know the certainty for the tumult, he commanded him to be carried into the castle. And when he came upon the stairs, so it was that he was borne of the soldiers for the violence of the people. For the multitude of the people followed after, crying, Away with him! And as Saul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto you? Who said, Can you speak Greek?
Now, would a white man ask another white man if he could speak Greek? Why would he ask him if he could speak Greek? Now, this is the Apostle Paul that you hear about on Sunday morning all the time. Now, they keep showing us a Gentile every time we look at a picture. But the question that is asked of the Apostle Paul is, can you speak Greek? Who asked a white man if he can speak white man?
Can you speak white man?
Who would you ask that to? Okay, keep reading.
Are not you that Egyptian?
Stop. Wait a minute. Ain't you burnt black, son? Ain't you one of those burnt black? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We have too many connections here. But see, you're not supposed to read this. You're supposed to be somewhere dancing and shouting right now. And then you wouldn't be seeing this because you're somewhere praise dancing. Okay, go ahead.
You know, Elder, even in today's society, as much as our people is down in Brazil, you know, and people speak Portuguese, if you get amongst Gentile that are speaking Portuguese and you look like one of us and walk up and speak, they gonna look at you astonished.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't expect the burnt black, why are you speaking our language? So, I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah, bro, I get surprised when I look at one of them. I'm looking at the baseball game, and then I'm like, all right, Pookie about to hit a home run. And he get up there and he said, my name is Julio Iglesias, and gentlemen, that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What the hell? Who is that? He looked like us, but he damn sure didn't talk like us. Yeah, because he landed somewhere else. Go ahead.
Which before these days made an uproar and led out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers. But Saul said, I'm a man which am a Yehudim of Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city. And I beseech you, suffer me to speak unto the people.
Right. So then what we get then, we confuse nationality with ethnicity. See, we have a real problem going on right now in this country. There's a very big difference between ethnicity and nationality. Your nationality is the nation that you live in. Your ethnicity is the people that you come from. Those are not the same. So we hear one thing about where a person has citizenship, and we automatically give a face to that person based on the place. And that is grossly incorrect. Go to the next graphic, brother, and I want you to read that. Because we need to read about this guy right here.
Hey, Elder, you skipping to Acts 13 one?
Go to Acts 13, I'm sorry. Well, you going to read it? It jumped out of here, didn't it? Because mine go right to it. Go to Acts 13 first.
Acts chapter 13 and verse 1.
Read that verse 1.
There were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene, and Menahem, which had been brought up with Herod the governor, and Saul.
All right, so Simeon was called nigger. Now read the definition of nigger.
From G35 to
Nigga,
6.
read. I'm just playing. I'm sorry. That was completely uncalled for. But damn it, it was fun. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nigger of Latin origin, black. Nigger, a Christian. Nigger.
Christian nigga. Right. Now why they put that in there? And nigger is Latin for black. So now we got New Testament apostles called nigger. But we've been told that black people don't have the ability to do this. They are hoping that you're not going to break this word down. They want you to be singing and dancing right now because you know y'all really good at singing and dancing. Okay. All right. So let's go to Exodus chapter 4. I hope your mama ain't watching today.
She's so as she is, she dying laughing.
He's just gonna sit there and call my baby nigga right there.
Mom, I'm sorry. I apologize. You know I ain't got good sense. Okay. Exodus chapter 4. And let's read verses 6 through 7.
And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now your hand under your bosom.
This is Moshe having to produce the miracles so that the people will believe that Yahweh sent them. All right. So this is a miracle. Go ahead, read this miracle.
Put now your hand under your bosom.
All right. You're gonna put it in the shirt.
And he put his hand into his bosom.
And
when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
He took it out, and it was white as snow. Go ahead.
And he said, put your hand into your bosom again.
He put it back in there.
And he put his hand into his bosom again.
And
plucked it out of his bosom.
He plucked it out.
And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
What color is the other flesh? He put it in. He brought it out. It was white. He put it back in. He brought it out. It turned back black. Okay. You ever wonder why they didn't do that miracle in the Moses movie? Y'all didn't notice that one wasn't in there. Now they did all the other, the staff turned to the snake. They did the flies. They did the frogs. They did the water, the blood. They did everything. Not this one. Why Hollywood didn't want to touch that? Okay. All right. Okay. Go to the next graphic there, brother. Let's read that.
Joel chapter 3, verses 2 and 3. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel.
So Yahweh is going to cause a great conflict, and it is going to be concerning how the treatment of the children of Israel have gone. Go ahead.
Whom they have scattered among the nations.
Wait a minute. So the children of Israel have been scattered among the nations. All right. Now we already done established now what they look like. All right. Now these people who are confused for black Egyptians are going to be scattered all over the earth. Go ahead.
And parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold the girl for wine that they might drink.
Right. So these people will be sold and traded for commodities that the Gentiles have. It says they will be sold for wine. Cognac is brandy wine. We still trying to figure out why we like it so much. find me a group of people who were scattered over the earth and sold for barrels of cognac. They can't produce this, so they need to stay out of this book. Okay, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you and shall pursue you.
Wait a minute. So then there's a difference between what the nations, the powers that be want to tell you that black people were cursed black, but when I get into this book, there are curses of Israel. How is it that we don't ever hear about the curses of Israel? But yet some people were supposed to be cursed to be a skin color, yet the holy people also were cursed. How is it that that never comes to the conversation? All we want to hear about is the blessings of the holy people. And if the people are rich, then they must be blessed. Go ahead.
And overtake you till you be destroyed, because you hearken not unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever. Because you serve not Yahweh your Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies, which Yahweh shall send against you, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
Now wait a minute. Now these are the holy people that Yahweh has chosen, but they are going to be slaves. They're going to be in chains. They're going to be scattered all over the earth. And they just so happen to be black. So now we're starting to knock off the boxes here. We know what they look like, and we know what's going to happen to them. Now that's starting to seriously not fit who we see in the land. All right, keep reading.
And in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck, until he have destroyed you.
I've never seen but one group of people that had to have that yoke around their neck like that. And we're talking about in mass. This was something that you've seen over and over and over. I ain't talking about one person one time. No. Go ahead.
And Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
Right. What's the symbol of this nation?
The eagle.
What's the symbol of Rome?
Eagle.
Oh, okay. That's quite interesting. Go ahead.
A nation whose language you shall not understand.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. So we didn't speak this. We didn't understand this language. Yet when you hear other people brag about how long they've been able to keep the culture, they think that validates them. And what it does is let you know, if you know this book, you know, hey, that can't be you. Because according to this book, the true children of Israel were going to lose their language. Go ahead.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, or show favor to the young.
They didn't care who they sold. You do the work or you're getting beat. Go ahead.
And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle and the fruit of your land until you be destroyed, which also shall not leave you either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of your kind, or flocks of your sheep, until he have destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls come down, wherein you trusted, throughout all your land. And he shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you.
Jump to verse 64.
And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even onto the other.
So, worldwide dispersion of the true children of Israel. You are never going to go in one place and get all the children of Israel. Either Yahweh lying or somebody else lying. So now we know what they look like. We know that they're going to be slaves. And we know that they're going to be spread all over the earth. All right, keep reading.
And there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers
Wait a
have
minute.
known.
They are not going to recognize that they should be practicing Judaism. They're going to be something else. They're not going to speak their language. And they're going to worship other gods, gods of the nation where they land. All right. Well, hey, we're getting a lot of clues. We're getting a lot of clues in. Go ahead. Keep reading.
Even wood and stone.
Wait a minute. Wood is Christianity. Stone is Islam. What are the two biggest religions that our people practice? Christianity and Islam. All right, keep reading.
And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have non-assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would Elohim it were evening. And at evening you shall say, would Elohim it were morning. For the fear of your heart wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. And Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships.
Wait a minute. Egypt is bondage. You gonna go into Egypt again with ships. How we get here?
Ships.
Matter of fact, how did we get all over scattered around the earth? Ships. You can't go around the earth that is primarily water without being in ships. Yet folks want to tell us that the children of Israel were gotten from some country, and I ask the question, how the hell all y'all get there? For y'all to come out of there, how did you get in there? Right. Keep reading.
By the way whereof I spake unto you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
All right. So we have this thing here where, of course, we people say they don't like any of these programs, that they are unfair when you give people some kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion is just wrong. All right, brother. I would like for you to read the Compensated Emancipation Act of 1862. Read a little something about it.
The District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act of 1862 freed slaves in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. We just talking about Washington, D.C. Now, understand that. Go ahead.
And paid slave owners up to $300 per freed person.
Wait. So each slave that was freed, they got paid $300 per slave. Keep reading.
The act was sponsored by Senator Henry Wilson of Massachusetts and signed by President Abraham Lincoln. The total cost was over $930,000, which is almost $25 million today. The payments went to former slave owners and their descendants.
Wait. Former slave owners and their descendants. Wait a minute. You're cutting government costs. The government just paid $25 million. This is just to Washington, D.C. I need you to pay attention. This is not all over. This is one place where these payments were made. Go ahead.
Not the enslaved or their legal heirs.
No. None of to them. Just to the slave masters and the children of the slave master who received this money. So they received U.S. aid. That is interesting. But this is just one state. Go ahead.
The act was the first time the federal government authorized the abolishing of slavery.
All right. Go to the next graphic. We want to see if this was just something that just happened there.
Other nations and empires that implemented compensated emancipation include Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, British Empire, Colombia,
my goodness,
Cuba, Danish colonies, Dutch Empire, Ecuador, and French colonial empire.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. We don't believe in programs. But man, there's a lot of programming going on right here. So let's read. I want to read just a little bit about, this plan to get rid of the wasteful spending. because I agree it's a lot of wasteful spending. So let's go to the next graphic, and I want you to read something about this to get rid of some of this wasteful spending.
Was it executive order?
This is the executive order. Yeah.
DEI program.
Uh-huh.
By the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1, Purpose and Policy. The Biden administration forced illegal and immoral discrimination programs going by the name Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, DEI, into virtually all aspects of the federal government in areas ranging from airline safety to the military. This was a concentrated effort stemming from President Biden's first day in office, when he issued Executive Order 13985, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government.
Now, the first federal government act was passed to pay the slave owners. All right. So now it is absolutely, it's a horrible thing. But you need to know where it come from. Go ahead.
Pursuant to Executive Order 13985 and follow-on orders, nearly every federal agency and entity submitted equity action plans to detail the ways that they have furthered DEI's infiltration of the federal government. The public release of these plans demonstrated immense public waste and shameful discrimination. That ends today. Americans deserve a government committed to serving every person with equal dignity and respect.
Equal dignity and respect. So when the money came down for the slaves to be freed, all the slave owners and their children got paid. None of the slaves got anything. Go ahead.
And to expending precious taxpayer resources only on making America great.
All right, that's as far as I want to go right there. There's a lot more to the executive order. I want you to now go in to when slave owners got reparations. So let's go into that.
On April 16th, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed a bill emancipating enslaved people in Washington, the end of a long struggle. But to ease slave owners' pain, the District of Columbia Emancipation Act
that we read of previously. Go ahead.
Paid those loyal to the Union up to $300 for every enslaved person freed.
Now, you're going to find that it went deeper than that, because understand now, this was just Washington, D.C., but look at what it does. Go ahead.
That's right, and slave owners got reparations. Enslaved African Americans got nothing for their generations of stolen bodies, snatched children, and exploited labor other than their mere release from legal bondage.
Their release from legal bondage. Okay? So, slave owners got reparations. It's very interesting how it says that they are so against any kind of reparations, but they've already paid reparations. They just pay reparations to the enslaver. Go ahead.
The compensation clause is not likely to be celebrated today, but as the debate about reparations for slavery intensifies, it is important to remember that slave owners, far more than enslaved people, were always the primary beneficiaries of public largesse. The act is notable because it was the first time that the federal government authorized abolition of slavery, which hastened its demise in Virginia and Maryland as runaways from these states fled to Washington.
So what they call Washington D.C.? Chocolate City. So you trying to tell me? So they said the first situation of paying per slave went to D.C. and to this day, D.C. is Chocolate City. And we don't know why. Okay, go ahead.
It offered concrete proof to enslaved people that their allies, that the federal government might facilitate the destruction of slavery everywhere. And it confirmed the worst fears of their foes about an interlooping, tyrannical president. Abraham Lincoln, however, was anxious to preserve his fragile alliance with loyal slaveholders. He had advocated abolishment of slavery in Washington in 1849 as a congressman to no avail. As president, he encouraged the border states to voluntarily end slavery. He chose Delaware as an ideal place to take the lead in late 1861, but it became clear that the Union slave owners could not be so easily persuaded. This reinforced the need to make congressional emancipation conditioned on compensating them, which put abolitionists in a bind.
Now, if you do a little research about starting businesses, you're going to find that most of the banks are formed in Delaware and places like that. You're going to find that there's a reason why they will have their main offices in certain states. They were made with certain protections. And it got something to do with you. Go ahead.
They welcomed the end of slavery in the capital, but chafed at payments that validated the right to own property in the form of human beings. If compensation is to be given at all, the abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison said at the National Anti-Slavery Convention in Philadelphia in 1833, it should be given to the outraged and guiltless slaves, and not to those who have plundered and abused them.
Now, wait a minute. So these white people saying that other white people have plundered and abused these black slaves who have been spread all across the earth and who just so happen to look just like all of the people in the Bible. Okay, go ahead.
Moderate anti-slavery advocates like Lincoln did not agree. To the contrary, they believed that any manumission plan had to placate property rights that were buttressed by the Fifth Amendment, which required just compensation for government seizure of private assets. Lincoln appointed a board of commissioners to oversee the process of compensation, headed by the North Carolina abolitionist and New York Times reporter Daniel Reeves Goodloe.
Now, this article comes from the New York Times, by the way. But go ahead.
The board reviewed more than 1,000 slaveholders' petitions to claim more than 3,000 enslaved people, close to the entirety of the dwindling population. Most of the petitioners received the full amount allowed. The largest individual payout was $18,000 for 69 slaves.
So there was a program to pay per slaves. So how is it that as we went through all of our history books in class, how is it as they have told us that they, abolished slavery, how is it that we were never told about the payments? I've had social study book on top of social study book, and they never mentioned the financial payment that the slave owners got. They wanted us to believe that they just, they just came around to the greater appeal of their sincere moralness. And they said, it's just time for this to end. Nobody mentioned the check. This wasteful government spending. Go ahead, bro.
Although the District of Columbia Emancipation Act marked the only time the federal government would compensate slave owners, there's a longer history of slave owners requesting and receiving indemnification for the loss of their chattel.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. The same insurance companies that don't want to pay out to us was paying out for us. Wait a minute. So if we got damaged, that would be us saying, man, my work truck got damaged. Well, what kind of work truck it is? They asked us, what's the make and model? John, 1984. What? Wait a minute, the model of your truck is John. Yeah, there he is right there. He damaged. I need to get paid for My work truck. He carry all my tools. Oh. Go ahead.
Slave owners felt entitled to and often received compensation from local, colonial, and state legislators, especially in times of crisis.
Often received payment. So we're not talking about one situation. They are constantly getting paid for the damage of their product. Go ahead.
When enslaved women and men ran away, participated in rebellions, or were executed for crimes, during the American Revolution, owners asked to be compensated when bondspeople had died while working in lead mines in Virginia.
Wait.
Lead mines, pardon me.
So they would loan. Same thing happening in prison right now. The people are then loaned off to go work for private industries. But then the slave owner said, hey, my slave got damaged at your workhouse. You need to pay me for the damage of my slave. So maybe this is the reason why we have so much problems getting something out of insurance, because they believe that we should be paid for, not paid to. Go ahead.
For example, and when they sided with the British and ran away. After the Revolution, as northern states carried out gradual emancipation plans, compensation was attractive to slave owners seeking to ease their financial burdens. The 1804 Gradual Abolishing Act in New Jersey.
Wait a minute. So now the one in D.C. has given way to more acts in other states so that these people can be paid. Go ahead.
For example, did not free anyone immediately. It allowed children of enslaved women to be treated as apprentices.
All right, now, keep going.
Slavery by another name.
Slavery by another name. So the children wouldn't be slaves, they'd be apprentices. Keep going.
Until they reach a certain age and would be freed. The law included a clause that allowed slave owners to gain compensation by letting their bondspeople go free and then reclaiming them as bond out labor.
So you let them free, but to reclaim them in a different way. Okay, go ahead.
Which gave them access to state funds for their troubles.
Whoa. The state then paid them for the slaves that they loaned out. Okay, go ahead.
In a breakthrough tradition in the 1850s, the abolitionist Elihu Burritt organized the National Compensation Emancipation Convention in Cleveland to advocate payments to slave owners, as well as smaller sums to be paid to the people they had enslaved. Nothing came of his dual proposal, however. To be sure, the major benefactors of slave owner reparations within the Atlantic slave system were Europeans. When England abolished slavery in its Caribbean colonies, it offered compensation to 46,000 slave owners at the cost of around $26.2 million.
All right. Hold on. When England abolished slavery in its Caribbean colonies, it offered compensation to 46,000 slave owners. So the world has received commerce. You wonder why Yahweh keeps saying, I'm going to invite them all down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and we're going to deal with this controversy concerning Israel. Y'all think he playing. Y'all don't understand the tag that's on your toe. They've been collecting commerce dealing with us for a very long time. But now, it's too much wasteful spending. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 46. That's all I want to do over there. And we talking about big money these folks were paid. Okay? Big money. Jeremiah chapter 46, and we're going to read verses 27 and 28.
But fear not you, O my servant Jacob, and be not dismayed,
Uh-huh.
O Israel, for behold, I will save you from afar off, and your seed from the land of their captivity.
Uh-huh.
And Jacob shall return, and be in rest and at ease, and none shall make him afraid.
Why does he have to say that? Okay, keep reading.
Fear you not, O Jacob my servant, says Yahweh, for I am with you, for I will make a full end of all the nations.
Wait a minute. All the nations. So this lets you know that the children of Israel, you ain't just going to go in one country and get the children of Israel. And the calamity of Israel is slavery. I don't care what other hardship that anybody else can produce, it is not biblically approved. You may have a hardship, and I don't question anybody's hardship. What I do question, it is not biblically approved. Go ahead.
Whither I have driven you, but I'll not make a full end of you, but correct you in measure. Yet will I not leave you wholly unpunished.
All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah 14, and let's start that at verse 1.
For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land.
Uh-huh.
And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
See, now you're starting to see why this great battle has to be fought. Now you're seeing why that there's a great problem with dealing with the children of Israel. He says, I will place them in their own land. Well, wait a minute. The nations have already grabbed somebody and from all out of one country and said, these are the individuals. But Yahweh said that these people are spread all across the globe. He says that these people have been made slaves. He says, I'm going to gather you out of all of those places and I'm going to put you back in that land. Well, then that's going to be a great controversy. Go ahead.
And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were.
All right. I always have to ask the question, if anybody who's already in the land of Israel as a state, who had you captive? And if anybody had you captive, you should have those people captive if you're already in the reborn kingdom. Who were your oppressors, and why are they not under you now? See, there are too many holes in a story. We have to say the story, that there's a problem with it. And we're not going to deal with this with our feelings. We're going to deal with it forensically, meaning that we're going to deal with it according to the information that is provided unto us. We're not going to make this decision or deal with this problem from our emotions. We're going to deal with it with the facts. If it does not fit, you must acquit. And I keep trying it on and a hand don't go in the glove. We have an issue. Go ahead.
And they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give you rest from your sorrow and from your fear and from the hard bondage wherein you was made to serve.
Wait a minute. So the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, were forced hard labor. He does not say anything about any other forms of punishment, although how horrific they might have been. He does not say that is what the children of Israel would endure. Once again, I don't question anybody's trouble. I just say it is not biblically approved. Slavery was biblically approved. Go ahead.
That you shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how has the oppressor ceased, and the golden city ceased? Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled nations in anger, is persecuted and none hinders. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid down, no feller has come up against us.
Wait a minute. So when the children of Israel are ultimately being returned, there's a great change in the earth, and a great oppressor is removed from power. That's interesting. So there's a great nation that has to lose power for the children of Israel to be freed. Wonder what country that is. Go ahead.
Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto you, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us? Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your vials. The worm is spread unto you, and the worms cover you. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nation?
So the redemption of the children of Israel is also connected with the fall of the adversary, the devil? That's quite interesting. Go ahead.
For you have said in your heart, I'll ascend into heaven. I'll exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I'll ascend above the heights of the clouds. I'll be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see you shall narrowly look upon you, and consider you, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
All right, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. Is this the man? Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 1 through 15. See, there are things that you have to consider. Okay, so it is written when it comes down to like being able to open that book in Revelation. It says they couldn't find anybody who was worthy to open the book. And then they said, well, wait a minute, you are worthy to open the book, for you have suffered. Okay, wait a minute. The amount of suffering that Yeshua went through made him authorized to open the book. All right. So when Yahweh is dealing with the earth and his people, their enslavement, their mistreatment authorizes them to have certain access. Okay. All right. Let's go. Deuteronomy chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse 1.
When Yahweh Elohim shall bring you into the land, whether you go to possess it, and have cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites.
Wait a minute. The same things that he says, this is the land of your nativity. It was born out of burnt black Africa. And then you hid amongst those people, and they didn't even recognize you. Right? Go ahead.
And the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you.
So wait a minute. For Yahweh to get glory, then you have to beat something that's greater and mightier than you. You can't go picking on people with sticks and rocks. And then be on your chest and say how great you are. You have to go up against something that is far greater than you and win. Then Yahweh gets glory. Go ahead.
And when Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shall you make marriages with them.
And why do you think every commercial shows us marrying some other nation? You think this is a game? This is not a game. Every commercial, every television show, every movie. We are never married amongst ourselves. We are always married to another nation. That's the pre-fight. You don't even know you're looking at the pre-fight. Go ahead.
Your daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto your son.
And people say, well, you know, I got a racist daddy. I tried to bring my boyfriend home, and my daddy acted a plumb fool.
Read that line again.
Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give unto his son.
Hold on. So somewhere there is an absolute idiot daddy. They say hell to the no, we won't go. That's what I went. What did he say? What did he say?
Your daughter you shall not give unto his son.
So somewhere there's a daddy who acts a plumb fool.
We say something wrong with my daddy. My daddy crazy.
Your daddy is biblically crazy. So make sure you put biblical in front of mine. Amen. Go ahead, priest.
Nor his daughter shall you take unto your son. For they will turn away your son from following me.
Not the first day, not the second day, but sooner or later, your kid's going to have another culture. And they ain't going to recognize it because it's going to be coming out of them bit by bit by bit. And 2 years later, you're going to look at your own kid and don't recognize who the hell are you. Oh, you joined to that other nation and you have slowly become them and you didn't even recognize that you was losing yourself. But it's too late to act a fool 2 years later. I mean, you got to act the fool day one, but it don't seem like you right when you act the fool day one. But if you act the fool 2 years later, after they done went through all the calamity, it's too late now. Go ahead.
That they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. But thus shall you deal with them. You shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. For you are an holy people unto Yahweh your Elohim. Yahweh your Elohim has chosen you to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Wait a minute. The special people get a higher level of judgment than everybody else. We misunderstand what special means. Special get a whooping. Go ahead.
Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, that Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahweh your Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful El, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repaid them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him, he will repay him to his face. You shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if you hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that Yahweh your Elohim shall keep unto you the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto your fathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your land, your corn and your wine and your oil, and the increase of your kind and the flocks of your sheep in the land which he swore unto your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all people.
Wait a minute. You shall be blessed above all people. So what people want to do and what the nations want to do is show us monetary things that other individuals possess, but they don't want to speak about the captivity or the curses of Israel. So what was given unto us is for you to believe that you have the curse of Canaan and not the curse of Israel. Ah, boy. Oh, Lucifer. Oh, you a slick one. Go ahead.
There shall not be male or female barren among you or among your cattle. And Yahweh will take away from you all sickness, and will put none of the evil disease of Egypt, which you know, upon you, but will lay them upon all them that hate you.
All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 18. We just got a few more to go, but we're going to go through it. Because everything you need to deal in any discussion of this matter is going to be right here. You ain't going to have to run all over your book for the notes, but you better have the notes for this one right here. Tuck it in tight. Tuck it in tight. Because anybody, I'm talking about from any nation, come at you about who you are and what you believe. It's right here. So you're going to need to hold this one close. Deuteronomy 18, let's start at verse 15.
Yahweh your Elohim will raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of you, of your brethren, like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken.
All right, so Moshe is talking about a greater prophet that is going to come out of the children of Israel, and he's going to be like him. Now, Moshe, who was a Levi, who was raised as an Egyptian, and looked like the burnt black people. Now, he's speaking of this other great prophet that was going to be just like him. And he was going to come out of the midst of his brethren. He's talking about Christ, Yahshua. But then, what he going to look like? Because he's coming out of the same burnt black people. Oh, okay. Read.
According to all that you desires of Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, neither let me see the great fire any more, that I die not. And Yahweh said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren.
I will, just by saying that the prophet comes from among their brethren, is saying that the prophet is going to look like them. When we read in Revelations just days ago, his feet looked as though they burnt in a furnace. Okay, read.
Like unto you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet, which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that will speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, how shall we know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Yahweh, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahweh has not spoken. But the prophet has spoken it presumptuously, you shall not be afraid of him.
All right. So this prophet that is to come, who Moshe is speaking of, shall come from among the same black people as Simeon. And he was called what? Nigger Simeon. Okay. All right. That's what the book say. Those not my words. Okay. Let's go to Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9, we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
I say the truth in the Mashiach, I lie not. My conscience also bear me witness in the Holy Spirit, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from the Mashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh.
According to the flesh, these people are the same. Go ahead.
Who are Israelites.
Wait a minute. The Israelites, we are dealing with Saul, the one who was also called an Egyptian, who was confused for the brother of Cush, which means black, whose father was Ham, which means burnt black. He says Christ is of the same lineage according to the flesh. Go ahead.
To whom pertains the adoption and the glory
This is the authority given to those family members called the Israelites. Go ahead.
and the covenants
Uh-huh.
and the giving of the law
Uh-huh.
and the service of Elohim and the promises.
So all the authority was given to the Israelites. Why would you want to be anything else? Keep going.
Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, the Mashiach came.
Okay. As concerning the flesh, the Mashiach was an Israelite too. So what did it look like? Okay. Let's go to Romans chapter 3. Romans chapter 3, and I want you to read verses 1 and 2.
What advantage then has the Yehudim?
What advantage? Go ahead.
Or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of Elohim.
The oracles, all the things of rulership were given unto the Israelites. Yet all of the changes that were made here came from the Catholic popes. The changing of the Sabbath day from Saturday to Sunday was a change by the Catholics. But according to this book, they don't have any authority. It makes you understand why they didn't want the book translated. When other people tried to translate the book, their own people, other Gentiles, they set those people on fire. Some of them, they dug up their grave and burnt them. They already dead. Why did they not want it translated? People keep trying to say, "Oh, that's white man book." Well, why he didn't openly let it be translated then? Why they were setting people on fire for translating it? No, it was some things in here that they didn't want people to know. Okay. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Romans chapter 11. Let's hear the conclusion of equity and inclusion. Romans chapter 11, and let's start it at verse 11.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Elohim forbid. But rather through their fall salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
So wait a minute. The under Yahweh's diversity, equity, and inclusion program, the Gentiles are going to be grafted into a tree that is not theirs. See, we're not going to need the inclusion program. See, we are the basis for the program. Go ahead.
Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness? For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office.
So Saul, the one who is misthought to be an Egyptian, brother of Cush, Ethiopia, son of burnt black ham, says, I am the apostle of the Gentiles. I magnify mine office. Wait a minute. All the authority were given to the Israelites. So the Israelite is telling the Gentiles he is their teacher. Now we go to them to get a divinity degree. But you have the authority, but you let them authorize your paperwork.
Come on, teacher.
Read.
If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead?
Wait a minute. We about to watch, witness resurrection from the dead. Go ahead.
For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and you, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them.
Wait a minute. There's a wild olive tree grafted in. So now we're talking about some inclusion into a tree that they did not belong to. See, everybody wants to do away with a program until they realize, wait a minute, the program is how I exist. But Yahweh will also watch. Wait. Then you do away with all the programs that you thought my people were benefiting from? Well, wait a minute. There's a whole nother program. See, while you thought you were the root, you were a grafted in branch. You have boasted yourself against the real part of the tree. Go ahead.
And with them partaketh of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Boast not against the branches, but if you boast, you beareth not the root, but the root you.
Wait a minute. All we have ever heard is boasting against the branches. But then Yahweh has a controversy that he's going to have to rectify then. Go ahead.
You know, Elder, it says partaketh of the root. You know, if you just graft it in, but you don't get to partake of the root, then there's no nourishment coming your way.
None whatsoever. Why do you think their understanding cut off? Why do you think they do things and swear that they right and don't even think that they need to prove any of it? The spiritual nourishment has been cut off. Go ahead.
You will say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and you standeth by faith. Be not high-minded, but fair. For if Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not you. Behold therefore the goodness and severity of Elohim. On them which fell severity, but toward you goodness.
And you know that we were never taught about the severity of Elohim. When they say God is love, all they ever heard about was the goodness. But you cannot have balance if you have only goodness. Go ahead.
If you continue in his goodness, otherwise you also shall be cut off. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree.
Wait a minute. You come from a wild tree. And Yahweh has grafted you in. He has included you. His system of inclusion has included you into a tree that you do not belong to. Go ahead.
How much more shall these, which be the natural branches, be grafted into their own olive tree?
So while people are trying to deny the natural branches, the tree says, oh no, I recognize those. Because those are actually from me. No. If you think you have part in the tree, they have way more part in the tree. They actually come from the tree. Go ahead.
For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery.
Don't be ignorant about this mystery. Go ahead.
Lest you should be wise in your own conceit. That blindness in part has happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in.
The fullness of the Gentiles is the time that they have been given to rule the earth. And when their time is up, the partial blindness of Israel shall be healed. And Israel will know who they are and will move accordingly. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.